Lesson 75, simplifying expressions with factorable denominators and with sign changes. This is a simple lesson that we're going to combine two things that we've learned in the past. Okay, so remember, when we have to add or subtract fractions, the first thing we have to do is common denominator. And to do common denominator, we need to factorize. So we're going to factorize this denominator so that we see what factors we have. So remember, what we do is inspection. We look for two numbers that multiply, give me -6, and added -1. The answer is going to be -3 plus 2. -3 times 2 is -6, and -3 plus 2 is -1, so that's correct. Now we notice that in the other denominator, we have the same as x minus 3, but the signs are backwards. So when we see that it's very, very close to be the same thing, but the signs are different, remember that we learned that we're going to change the sign. And to change the sign, we learned that we're going to multiply times a -1 here in front. And when we do that, that changes what we have there on the bottom. So now instead of 3 minus x, we have -3 plus x. So let's rewrite what we have. We have x plus 3, and then in the denominator we have x minus 3 and x plus 2. And then since we have a -1, dividing the negative there, we have a positive, and then we have a 3 over, and now we have x minus 3 if I write it in the right order. Now we need to do common denominator, and what this is missing is the x plus 2. Notice we have this one already here, but we were missing this one. So we have to multiply both the denominator and the denominator. So now we have to do distributive property so that the 3 multiplies both the x and the 2. So we're going to end up with x plus 3, no change, and then 3x, and then 3 times 2 is 6. And all of that over that denominator that we have. Finally, if we do like terms, x plus 3x is 4x, and 3 plus 6 is 9 over the common denominator. And that is our answer. So notice how we use both things that we've learned in the past. Factorize denominators so that we can do common denominator, and also change the signs so that the factor that is given with different signs, with the opposite signs, can become what we need. Let's look at this second example. We have to do the same, so we're going to start by factorizing here on the bottom. And so we have x and x, and then two numbers that multiply give me 1, and added give me 2 are 1 and 1. And again, we notice here there's a problem with the signs. They're both negative, and we want them positive. So we're going to, again, multiply times a -1. And that -1, when it multiplies both of them, it changes their signs. So now we have what we want. Now this negative, remember, affects also up here. So negative divided by negative is positive. Okay, so the common denominator that we want, again, is x plus 1 times x plus 1. Remember, we choose what is common. So the first one is the x plus 1 that is common. And then the x plus 1 that is not common, we also put it in our common denominator. Now we want to multiply both the top. We want to multiply both the top and the bottom by what is missing. So we're going to multiply by x plus 1. When I do that, I get x plus 7. Then negative times negative is positive 3. And 3 times x is positive 3x. And 3 times 1 is positive 3. And again, we do like terms. 3 plus 1 is 4x, and 7 plus 3 is 10. Over the denominator that we have, which in this case, since it is the same denominator, I can write it 2 times, or I can put it square. And that's our answer. Notice that if you forget this step about changing the sign, then you would end up with a negative here, and that would change your final answer. So be careful with that. In this last example here, I have this red star here to let you know that in the book, this exercise is incorrect. So the process and the answer are incorrect. You can put a little mark there to remind yourself and others that that's wrong. So let's do this exercise, and I would encourage that you stop the video and try to do it by yourself so you get some practice, and then check your work with mine. All right, so we'll start by factorizing. So we want two numbers that multiply, give me negative 15, and added, give me negative 2. The numbers are negative 5 and positive 3. Remember always to check your answer. Negative 5 times positive 3 is negative 15, so that is correct. And negative 5 plus 3 is negative 2, so that is also correct. Now we notice here that we have x minus 5, and it's exactly the same thing we have. So we don't have to change signs in this exercise. This exercise is ready for us to multiply by the other factor so that we have the common denominator. So let's write here what is our common denominator. First, what is common in both of the denominators, which is the x minus 5, and then what is not common, which in this case is only x plus 3. So that means that I have to multiply the bottom by x plus 3, but also the top by x plus 3. Now it's the whole top, not just the 2, so remember to put parentheses. Super important. And that's the only difference of this exercise, that you have to actually multiply here two binomials instead of what we were doing before, that it was a monomial times a binomial. All right, but we can do that. You've done that in the past, so let's multiply. X times x is x squared. X times 3 is 3x. 2 times x is 2x. And 2 times 3 is 6. Now we add the like terms. So we have x squared by itself. X plus 3 is 4. Plus 2 is 6x. And negative 3 plus 6 is positive 3. And all of that over x minus 5 and x plus 3. And that's it. That is our answer. Nothing else to do. Very simple lesson. Make sure that you practice these exercises, and I'll see you in the next video.